Hey guys, so I just saw Godzilla Minus One in the IMAX theatre in Sydney, and the one in Sydney has been shut for 7 years, and it just reopened just in time for me to see this movie. And I really thought that I would love the IMAX theatre because the bigger the better, right, when it comes to movie screens, but actually no. I got vertigo just walking up the stairs, and honestly, the screen is almost too big that you can't really take it all in. So I think I prefer the smaller extreme screen, which is like a in-between size, I guess. Anyway, I'm still glad that I got to go and have the experience of seeing this there. So in terms of the movie, I really enjoyed it. I'm just going to say that straight off. I loved this movie, but I do think that I'm going to compare it to the American version, and I know that I shouldn't. I know this is its own separate thing, but I've just recently rewatched the American Godzilla movie, and it's really fresh in my mind still, so I'll try not to compare the two, but I probably will compare them a little bit. So look, I feel like this Godzilla is definitely the scariest Godzilla that we've ever had. Not in looks so much, because he doesn't look or sound as scary as the American version. There I go, I'm comparing already. Like the American version, the roar is a lot more menacing. But then they've got a smaller budget, obviously. I tried to find out how much this movie was made on. I'm not too sure. There's some rumors saying 15 million, but obviously it's going to be a smaller amount to like the big legendary movies. So yeah, it's not going to look as good, but it did still definitely look good. And the atomic breath scenes with all the scales lighting up blue, that looked really good. So the special effects did have their moments. But just the way Godzilla himself looked, I do definitely prefer the American one. But that's not to say that it took away from the enjoyment of the movie, because it definitely didn't. I still enjoyed the movie, even though, yeah, at times you could really tell that it was made for a lot less. So fueled by the power of atomic breath, this Godzilla is just a force of pure destruction in post-war Japan. That's what I really liked. This was the Godzilla that I've been waiting for, a darker version of Godzilla, because I feel like the American version was an ally to humanity, and look, he only was an ally because it was convenient to him, because he wanted to be, king of the monsters, so it suited him. Like, I really doubt that he actually cared about humans, but still, he was seen as an ally, ultimately. And in the 90s version, which I still think gets way too unfairly criticised, like, it's actually a pretty enjoyable movie, I think. So I think the 90s version, it was basically just a mother protecting its eggs, protecting its babies. But this version, it just straight up wants to eat people. So in between the new Monarch TV show, this, and the upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong movie, it's a really good time to be a Godzilla fan. So it had some unexpected humour in it that actually worked really well to break up what was a very serious and bleak movie at times. Compared to the American one, I know I keep comparing them, it was definitely a lot more tonally dark and serious and had quite heavy themes. So having those little moments definitely broke it up. And I think this movie really succeeded where the American one didn't, in that you actually cared about the human characters, you were invested in them. It had a really good balance between the human story and Godzilla, where in the American one, in a movie that went for like over 2 hours, Godzilla was in it for like, 10 minutes, I think? So they definitely had more balance in this. So one thing that I didn't really enjoy was reading the subtitles, because I felt like, I don't have a problem doing that normally, but I felt like with this movie, it lost a bit in translation. Like, it was still adequate, but you could tell that there was times that The dialogue felt a little awkward and it felt like it wasn't what it would sound like in Japanese. But overall, it didn't take away too much from my enjoyment of the movie. And one other thing is the tension. It needed more tension throughout. Just some more build up to the big moments. And the opening act, like the opening scene rather, I did have a big problem with that. So maybe this is a minor spoiler. Sorry if it is. But okay, so they introduce Godzilla straight away. And I feel like that really needed some time to build up to that. Introducing Godzilla should be a really big moment, but we just see him come out of nowhere straight away, and it would have been so much more impactful if they built up to it. Not to say it wasn't a good scene, but it could have been done in a way where we didn't actually see Godzilla, where we could have just seen him sort of hiding in smoke and not really seen him properly, like we did in the American version. I'm sorry. So they did a really good job in that one of building up to him. So anyway, overall, I enjoyed it. I would still give it an 8 out of 10. So this probably is definitely a small spoiler. So warning. I don't really feel like it's too much of a spoiler though, because this movie was so good that I feel like it's pretty obvious they're going to want to milk it and get as much money out of this as they can, because these days it's very rare that they just make a standalone movie. Everything has to be made into a franchise or a spin-off with a prequel and a sequel and all of that. So I very, very much doubt we won't get a sequel. So I don't think I'm really spoiling it to say that we are going to get one. They're definitely setting it up that way because we see Godzilla survives in the end, like he basically does always. So yeah. Anyway, so let me know if you've seen it, what you thought in the comments down below. Please like, subscribe, all of that. It really helps me out. Thank you.